Alice and the Creator's Secret. Chapter 3. When I came to, my head was banging and my vision was all over the place. Once everything sorted itself out, I took in what was around me. Crystals were strewn everywhere, pinned to the ceiling in what I reckoned to be a cave. The crystals were all sorts of vibrant colors and gave off a beautiful glow which lit the place up. And to my surprise, I was sprawled out on a path made entirely of golden bricks. Along the path was grass about as tall as me, with flowers and other plants slightly taller. "Is this heaven?" I muttered as I stood to my feet, not caring that my crown was no longer with me and my dress torn to shreds. Slowly, I circled around to see what else was in this cave. It ended up extending two ways, in front and behind. As I looked above me to see if there was a hole to shout for Titus, I only saw more crystals. There was no way to stay here to wait for him. I would have to choose which way to go. While I pondered this, something caught my eye in the direction ahead of me. It was a rabbit. Not just any old rabbit. It was a glowing white rabbit. When it moved, I noticed it was also translucent like a ghost. I began to think maybe I was dead. Soon, the rabbit's glow faded into the distance. I was so interested to find out what it was that I ran to catch up with the creature. So, in the end, it chose the direction I would go for me, which I decided wasn't so bad as the path was quite lovely and I could see the cave walls expanding out on both sides. As I got closer to the rabbit, it changed into the spirit form of a human. He was a squat, middle-aged man dressed in a nice vest with a small hourglass swinging from his belt. He looked down at the hourglass as sand poured to the bottom, with about 2/3 remaining on top. His foot tapped rapidly like a bunny. I crept closer to him, listening to his mumbling about how daft he was for letting the time pass so quickly. "Excuse me, where am I?" I spoke up. He jumped around, scared to death by my outburst. When he saw I was just a girl, he relaxed a little. "Are you the second witch?" he asked. I frowned. "No, I am Queen Alice of Baldwin." "Was there another girl who passed through here? Did she have long strawberry blonde hair?" He nodded. "Indeed, but if you're not a spirit or a witch, what are you doing down here?" "I was chasing the witch. She has been causing us a great deal of trouble." "Is this the underworld?" The man laughed, tilting back while clutching his stomach. I was baffled. My question wasn't anything outrageous. It was an honest question to ask. I crossed my arms, getting fed up with the man. "What's so funny?" "It's not a strange thing to ask, as you are a spirit." He stood upright while brushing away tears. "Sorry, but surely you must know a living human couldn't possibly stumble across heaven or hell. This is something else entirely. It's a kingdom. And as of now, it is where spirits stay until they are judged or they have completed their unfinished business." "Well, who does the judging around here?" I asked. He looked around as if someone might hear him besides me. "Well, the Queen of Hearts has taken it upon herself to judge people, but the real judges live in the castle. That's where I'm headed to. You may come along if you wish. I'm sure they will help you." "So you're heading there to be judged?" I asked, walking by him along the gold path. He chuckled and pointed out the glowing white color around him. No, I have already been judged. I died an innocent spirit. That's what the glow symbolizes. It's the purple spirits that need to be judged. I have unfinished business. All my life, I have never been all that smart. I could never tell the time, so I was always late for things. If I get there in time, then I'll be able to move on. If not, I'll have to do it repeatedly. I always get teased that I don't have a brain. It was my turn to laugh. "Don't worry about it. People say stuff like that about blondes all the time. You just have to prove them wrong. You can count on me to get you there." "Oh, thank you. Let's hurry along then. We can't keep them waiting." We continued along the path at a quick pace. That's when we ran into a fork in the road. The man looked between the two paths, unsure which way to go. As we stared at the paths, he decided to go right. I followed, glad I had someone to lead me. Then I regretted thinking that as we hit a dead end. "Oh, blimey," he said, tapping his foot again. Guess it was the other way. Come on, let's go back. As we turned around to leave, we both hit an invisible wall. I gasped, pressing my hand against it. There wasn't a wall there before. Suddenly, a drip of water landed on my face. More followed it. I looked toward the man as he gulped. Oh bother, I've led us to the River of Tears. River of Tears. Yes, it creates a river with all the tears both you and I have cried. Depending on how much pain we've experienced, it can drown us or carry us far away from where we want to go. Of course, only you could actually drown. Jolly, I said as more water fell upon us. Then a whole wave came at us. It hit us with great force and carried us along the river. Like tears, the water was salty. As we were carried down the rapids, I saw memories of my sadness in the water. The day my parents divorced. When my dad left for good. Then all the times my mum hit me while she was drunk. Memories one after the other. Some memories were not my own but of the man's, like the day he died of disease or when he failed to get medical help for his mum. Both of us definitely had enough to create this river, as I witnessed the painful memories. The rapids dragged me under the water. I held my breath and tried to swim back up. That's when I saw another memory in the river. It was me sobbing at the playground. Irene was next to me. She listened to my words, then she embraced me. It was the first day we talked to one another. In the water, her words to me then echoed out. There's no need to fear, Alice. As long as you know where you want to go, then you'll be safe. Only you can take yourself off the path. Don't believe others have power over you because they don't. Just as her words ended, a hand grabbed me and pulled me out of the river. I coughed and gagged up the tears as I saw I was back on the golden pathway. When I looked up to see who saved me, figuring it was the man, I was surprised to see Irene standing there, dressed in a white dress with flowers pinned at her waist and in her dark, curled hair. Irene, what are you? Alice, you need to get back right away. You shouldn't concern yourself with this place. You have a mission above this realm. I stood up and water trickled down my dress onto the bricks. Yes, but the witch is down here. I know, I called her down here. Along with that other witch you killed. Wait, you called them? Why? Irene didn't answer my question as she said, pointing, follow the road that way. It will lead you back where you came. Don't step off of it. Not all spirits down here are friendly folk. Once you get to the dead end, click your shoes together. That will bring you to the surface. She started to walk off in the other direction. I caught her hand. Wait. Are you a witch too? What are you doing down here, Irene? What was so important that you had to come with us this time? Irene pulled her hand away and said, just remember, Alice, I'm much more than a witch. And most importantly, I want the best for all of us. And just like that, she disappeared right in front of me with a flash of white and gold. The rabbit came bouncing out of the river and turned into his human form. He looked at me, wondering what I would do now. Let's go, I said, gritting my teeth. She just told you how to get out of here. You aren't leaving, he asked, catching up to my brisk pace. Not until I find out what she meant about all of that. Besides, I'm still going to follow the path, just in the other direction. I promised you I would get you there, right? By the way, what is your name, if I may ask? He grinned while bowing to me. Harris, my lady. Harris, like a hare? Is that why you're a rabbit? I questioned, with a smile coming to my face. Nah, it's because I simply act like one. All the spirits here can change into an animal. Now, how about we get crackin' before I fail for a third time? I'd hate to fail again having this hourglass with me this time around. I nodded and we headed down the path. As we traveled further along, I couldn't help but think everything around us was getting bigger and bigger. That or we were just getting smaller. Soon, the flowers were replaced by mushrooms. I wasn't a big fan of eating them, but I always thought they were adorable looking. Especially these ones, as they were all sorts of different colors and some even glowed like the crystals above them. When I looked up, I noticed that even the ceiling was higher up than it was before. Heading down the path still, we heard something talking up ahead. Harris looked over at me, his eyes appearing downcast. Whatever was ahead of us, he knew what it was and didn't like it at all. I urged us forward until I saw what it was. Lying on a large mushroom was a big caterpillar spirit that glowed purple. That meant his fate wasn't decided yet, if I remembered correctly from what Harris told me. I almost walked off the path to climb the mushroom, but I stopped myself just in time. I sighed and stepped backwards a bit and waved my hands around. "Hello!" I shouted at the caterpillar as Harris ran to me and clamped my mouth shut. It was too late as the spirit saw us. In a gruff voice it asked me, "Who are you?" "I'm Alice, Queen of Baldwin," I responded. "And you are?" The caterpillar changed into a ball of purple. It shut down right next to me, and suddenly it was the form of a man with a sharp goatee and no hair on his head. He looked just a bit younger than Harris. "You're lying. You have no clue who you really are," he said to me, trying to touch my chin. I swatted his hand away from my face. "I am not lying, you creep. My name is Alice." "Yes, that much is true, but down here royalty doesn't matter. There is no privilege to it. People won't bow to you or do your dirty work. So let me ask again, who are you?" Harris took hold of my shoulder, trying to steer us away from him. But he just stopped us and asked his question more forcefully. I didn't know what to tell him. What else was I? Then I understood what he wanted. I closed my eyes, feeling ashamed to say it. "I'm a muck of a person that nobody fancies in my world. Are you happy now?" The man grinned at me. "It was a pleasure, Alice. If you ever feel like it, you can eat from my mushroom. It turns you into what you want to be." I glanced over at the mushroom he was on beforehand. I shook my head. "No, thank you. I'd rather not step off the path to eat something I'm not very fond of in the first place." This time I grabbed Harris' hand to continue forward. Once we were out of sight of the man, I let go. Then I turned to Harris. "What was that bloke's deal?" Harris didn't look at my eyes as he said, "He's the reason I failed last time. He promised that the mushroom would make me smarter, but I ended up getting lost. He's one of the souls that hide away from the Queen of Hearts, too afraid to get judged while going on to tease the rest of us. Sometimes they'll even lead you right to the Queen of Hearts." We headed off again, promising together that we wouldn't go off the path. I was glad when we left the mushrooms behind and returned to flowers. It meant we were back on track. We came to the crossroads we were at before reaching the River of Tears. This time we went left instead of right. Thinking we were good and dandy now, we ran into another fork. I looked over at Harris, hoping he knew which way to go this time. He did, and we went left again. The path didn't cut off, so I assumed we were going the right way. Soon we saw little glow bugs come out of the forest of flowers, and there were normal-sized fountains off to the sides. It was beautiful. Ahead of us was a young woman with a child in her arms. They sat at the edge of one of the fountains. The woman was a purple spirit and the child glowed white. The woman looked up at us as we approached. She clutched the baby closer to her as if we were hungry monsters. "What seems to be the problem?" I asked her. Her shoulders relaxed just a bit when she saw I meant no harm. She stood up and walked onto the path. "The Queen of Hearts has been looking for me." I escaped her judgment. "She found out that I was a duchess and served Snow White. She wants my head now." I stopped myself from laughing and said solemnly, "You're a spirit, how could she cut off your head? What would she even do with it?" The woman trembled. "She puts them on as her own sometimes, while the headless are left searching for where she hid the others. She is obsessed with being the fairest." Putting things together, I figured out who this Queen of Hearts really was. She's the queen who wanted to kill Snow White for years on end, but then Snow White fell in love with her son. I blinked, but I thought she lived a happy life after that. Why would she act like this? The Duchess had the answer. Because, if you remember, the records show she took a potion which made her forget her life as queen. Once she became a spirit, she remembered everything. She still has to atone for her sins and overcome the fear and jealousy that live inside her. She's already been judged at the castle, but she has the opportunity to change. So why don't you just go to the castle? Harris asked the Duchess. She can't touch you there. There was a rustle beside us. She looked toward the spot with widened eyes. Then she turned back to me, giving me her child. After that, she bolted away. The rustling noise followed her as she went. Take care of him, she shouted at me. My mouth fell open as I stared down at the spirit child in my hands, surprised I could even hold him. Its eyes opened and stared at me. Then the child transformed into a baby bird. Before I could do anything, it flew away in the direction its mum went. I glanced over at Harris. He shrugged as he walked forward again. It wasn't long until we reached another fork in the road. Harris immediately crashed to the ground, banging his head against the brick. I quickly stopped him from breaking his head, since apparently spirits could lose their heads. I can't do it, he shouted. I have no clue which way to go. Then ask, a voice said to us up on a flower. I craned my neck to see another purple spirit. This time the spirit was in the form of a cat. His grin was huge as he looked down at us. What is the correct way? I asked him. His grin became impossibly larger. Either way is the correct way. It doesn't matter if you go right or left, you're still going somewhere. No, there is a wrong way, I said, remembering when we got swept away by the river of tears. Well, there isn't if you don't know where you're going, is there? I understood the point he was trying to make. I never told him where we wanted to go. Then it made me think of the memory I witnessed in the river with Irene. As long as I knew the path I wanted, I would find the way safely. We're trying to get to the castle and preferably avoid the Queen of Hearts while we're at it, I said. His grin curled, which I found rather unsettling. His tail pointed towards the right path. This way then, but you will come across many insane spirits. And I can't promise you'll avoid the Queen of Hearts entirely, but the other path will certainly bring you right to her. I nodded at the cat before helping Harris up to his feet. Thank you, I said to the cat, even though he was just as creepy as the caterpillar. Harris and I went right. Thankfully for us, there were no more forks in the road from which we had to choose, and the forest-like grass was dying down to regular size along with the flowers. There were more crystals around than just the ones lighting up the place on the ceiling. Harris looked down at his hourglass and grimaced. I have about 10 minutes left. We must hurry if we are going to reach the castle in time. Then in front of us I saw the strangest thing I have witnessed yet in this place. Tables upon tables were set up in a clearing. In the middle of one table sat 3 spirits. 2 were in their animal form, a mouse and a rabbit, while the other spirit just wore a very tall hat. As we got closer, I realized that the one with the hat wasn't even a spirit since he didn't have the same orange glow as the other 2, but he was a living person. A person whom I knew.